Hi guys and welcome back to another video. Thanks so much for watching this one, and as you can see from the title, I want to talk a little bit today about scale fluctuations, why they can happen and understanding them and how this can help you mentally and physically with your journey, whether that's fat loss or muscle building, weight gain. However, I know that the scales are largely associated with weight loss, fat loss, and it's just understanding, why the scales can fluctuate. It can really help you with that, because it can be so demotivating when the scales aren't moving the direction that you want to when you are trying to lose weight. So we'll start with that initially, like you want to lose weight. So when the scales don't move because they show your weight, you think that you're not making progress. When really, if you reframe what you're actually trying to do, is that you're trying to lose body fat, not just weight. Because really, I mean, obviously you don't have to, but if you wanted to look toned, you'd have to build muscle, and that muscle is going to contribute towards your weight. Really, as well, to be overall healthy, you should have your body fat percentage at a healthy level, not too low. Especially as females, we do need a certain amount of fat to protect reproductive organs, and all of that jazz, which I can go over in another video, and I've touched upon in other videos too. Sorry, Wesley's drinking his water. Very loud. But yeah, really the aim when you want to lose weight is that you actually want to lose body fat. So understanding that first can really help a lot of people. I find that with clients, this helps them to, get into the mindset of like, okay, it's not just scale weight I'm trying to lose. So that's the starting point I wanted to make. And things that the scale measure is everything. It's literally a relationship with the floor, which is not that important, let's face facts. The scales measure, so they measure fat, yes, they measure muscle, they measure water weight, they measure what you've eaten. So, going on the scales at random times of the day isn't going to be helpful when you've eaten, you've drank. I mean, I always say if you want to weigh yourself, once a week is enough. On a morning, first thing, after you've been to the toilet and before you've consumed any food or drink. And doing that each week will give you an accurate-ish enough reading, and keeping things consistent, like keeping variables consistent, sorry. So as I say, like, it takes a lot of things into consideration. So if the scales go up slightly, that could be for various reasons. So it could be the time of the day that you're going on the scale, so that's something to look at if that's something that you're doing. But also it can be where you are at the time of your cycle, because as I say, the scales measure water. We as females hold on to more water in the second half of our cycle, so the luteal phase, heading into the menstrual phase, which is the period and the bleed. So because of the rise in hormone levels, again, I've touched on this in another video talking about hormones, but because of the rise in hormone levels where they reach their peak, it basically causes a little bit of hormone imbalance, hence all the PMS. But that also then causes water retention, which is bloat. So if you're feeling a little bloated and the scales are going up, you're possibly going to think, what's the point? Like, what's the point? May as well give up. And then because you don't understand why the scales are fluctuating, you're just going to give up, and then potentially all the progress that you've made this far end up undoing that by taking lots of time off and then having to start all over again. So, as I say, understanding that can be really important, like mentally, but also physically, because they're not going to be too hard on yourself mentally, because you're like, okay, I'm due on my period, it's slightly water weight, I'm going to keep going. And then after your period, you'll say that actually you are moving in the right direction, and it's like, I'm so glad I didn't give up. And that's going to help you to get those physical results that you want. Certain types of foods as well can also cause water retention, which will cause the scales to go up. Now, this is me not saying at all to cut out any foods, but in understanding why they do this. Again, it's like, okay, that's probably the reason for the fluctuation. So foods higher in salt and sodium. So 9 times out of 10, I am heavier on a Monday on the scales than I am later in the week. Because I normally go out for a Sunday dinner or some kind of eating out, possibly have alcohol on a weekend. So that causes water retention. Again, it's only temporary and it will go down. But if I just gave up when I seen that fluctuation, I mean, at the moment I am trying to gain, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But when I've been in fat loss phases, like if I just give up because of a slight fluctuation, then I would never get to the physical results that I've wanted. So again, it's really important to understand that. And same if you've had a heavy carbohydrate meal the night before, it will cause the scales to fluctuate slightly because of the water retention. However, it's temporary, and that is not to avoid carbs. It's not to avoid salt. Like, your body needs all of these things, and everything in moderation. You know, too much of anything is bad for you. But definitely, like, don't get into restricting just to manipulate the scales. Again, as well, if you're doing weight training alongside fat loss, which is a great way to lose body fat, you don't just have to be doing cardio, especially, again, as I mentioned, if you want to create a toned look, you will benefit most from doing weight training, and weight training brings about lots of other benefits as well. But if you are weight training and building muscle and losing fat, that can sometimes counterbalance your scale weight. So essentially, you're not actually replacing fat with muscle, but you'll be losing fat but then building muscle, so it's going to like level out and the scales might not budge at all. So that can be another reason why the scales aren't necessarily moving, and I see this a lot with my clients. Because they're very new to weight training, they yield results quite quickly. So the scales don't necessarily move all that quick. So this is why I always say it's important to take lots of different factors into consideration, do measurements, take photos. Like, even if you don't share them with anyone ever, I promise you, if you look back to week 1 to like, you know, each week, and even like you might not see it as much in the first few weeks, but you know, as the weeks go on, you will start to notice significant changes, even if the scales aren't moving. I have so many clients this has happened to, and sending them their photos gives me so much joy when they are like, I'm not making any progress. I'm like, yes, you are. Look at this. Like, you've changed your whole body composition, sorry, and that is called body recomposition. And like I say, the scales actually mean nothing there because you've reached a physique that you actually want to achieve, and the scales haven't moved. So if you listen to the scales the whole time, you'd think you were making no progress. So as I say, things like that, even just look at how you feel and how your clothes are fitting is another really good one. I had a message off a client the other day, for example, who had said the scales had fluctuated very slightly for our last check-in, and she was still below our start weight, but she said that she felt a little disheartened at first. Again, it's just like learning that mindset. But then she tried on some trousers that she bought from Zara, and before she started coaching, they were too tight, and now they fit nicer, and you know, they don't feel too snug, and she feels like she could sit down in them, etc. And that shows that she has lost inches off her body. And again, measurements will show that too. I have some girls that have lost like 16 plus centimeters and about 2 pounds on the scale. It's insane. Another one of my clients very recently as well hadn't done any measurements or scale weight or anything since she started in January, and like, everyone was complimenting her, and I mean, she looks incredible. So she was like, oh, I'd quite like to just see like how much I've actually lost, because she was like, look at this photo. When I started, I didn't think I was fat, and she wasn't fat, but you know, she had some body fat to lose, and you can tell she feels more confident and comfortable in herself, and especially from around her stomach area, and she's really built up her glutes in that time. As I say, it's been like 8-9 months now, so like we've been working together a long time, doing weight training 3 to 4 times a week. And she stepped on the scales, and from her start weight she'd lost 1 pound. And honestly, we were both laughing, and she was like, I'm so glad I did that now, because if we were doing that every week, I would have been like, I'm not making any progress. Whereas like, looking back now, after I've put in months and months and months of hard work, I can see how much my body's changed, feel more confident, and all of these good positive things that the scales don't measure. You know, like she might have completely given up and never got there. So just something to keep in mind, like the scales don't measure how much better your clothes are fitting, how you're feeling within yourself, you know, how much healthier you feel, how much stronger you feel, how much more energy you have. These are all like really positive things of starting your fitness journey, and you know, that a lot of people kind of almost take for granted because they get too focused on the scales. I've had many clients that just give up because the scales aren't moving and they think it's not working, like what I'm telling them isn't working. Like, it takes time and everybody is different. Some people the scales will go down, some people the scales won't hardly budge. I've got one client as well at the moment who we've been increasing her calories and her scale weight's gone up and up and up each week, but if you put her first photos compared to her current, she has lost body fat, and our measurements have been coming down each week. Like, she looks amazing and she's getting stronger each week. She's got loads of energy, she's feeling great, and that to me is a huge win, even though the scales are going up. But again, it can be muscle gain, it can be just the time that she's the food that she's potentially ate before, or a lot of different factors. So it is a good tool to use, and I'm not saying don't use it at all, but just use it mindfully. Like, it's really easy to get sucked in to that number not going in the direction that you want it to. So just be mindful of that, and having that knowledge is so important. It's something that I work so hard with so many women with, to help them understand that the scales are not the be all and end all. And this is why I have such a, I don't like to use the word, but I get very annoyed at the likes of Slimming World and Weight Watchers when they make you go for weekly weigh-ins and that's the only thing they look at. I mean, I don't know that much about it, so I don't want to get too into it because that's just my small understanding of what they do, and I'm not even getting into sins. That's another story for another day. But yeah, like, doing that and not taking in other factors into consideration is really frustrating, because then you think like that you're not making progress and that sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully this video has been helpful, just to help you understand some like key basics of why the scales can fluctuate and what the scales don't measure, that are also important for your journey. As always, I feel like I've waffled, but I think I've covered all the points that I wanted to cover. I'm very passionate about this subject and I post a lot about it on Instagram. If you don't already follow us, I'll pop it below if you want to come on and follow us and learn a bit more. I also post stuff about it on TikTok again, which is below, if you wanted to learn more about it. But yeah, I just wanted to do a bit more of an in-depth video and just like get it off my chest. As I say, very passionate about it, and just because I hate seeing how upset it makes people feel and that it makes people give up, when if you just had the knowledge and the understanding and push past that mindset barrier, you would get to where you want to be and like reach your goals and feel healthier and happier in yourself and more confident. Like, that's another one, like the scales don't measure. So yeah, like I say, I love helping people reach that end goal, not necessarily the physical side of it, as I say, like the mental side too, just like feeling more confident, and just like that confidence comes from like pushing past those hard like mindset barriers and the tough days where you're tired and you can't be bothered to do your workouts, and just knowing that you set yourself a goal and you worked really hard to overcome all the challenges and obstacles to get there and achieve it. And that, just as I say, watching people get to that point and feeling so happy and confident and just, you know, content with themselves and doing it is a huge thing for me and the reason why I do my job. So yeah, just wanted to come on if I could help as many people as possible understand this. Then, like I say, if I help one person, I'd be happy with that. So please let us know if you found this helpful. It would make my day. And if you'd like us to go into detail on any of the points that I've went over, sorry, as I say, because I'm so passionate, I've just went off on a tangent as always. And anything else that you would like us to cover that you think would be helpful, and please let me know below and I can do that in an upcoming video. But yes, thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you on the next one.